Well, welcome everybody. We are here at Merle's Music interviewing the legendary Mr. Merle.
Oh, I like that.
Well, Mr. Merle is gracious enough for me to come in and ask him a few questions and stuff. And I tell you what, guys, ever since I've come here as a little kid, he's always taken care of me. There's always been cool things. They've always taken time, even though, you're a broke teenager. They always invest the time. They always invest the effort. And so this is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me just to talk with a guy that has had a big impact in my life. So, Mr. Merle, how you doing today?
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm doing fine. So really, since you've been a little kid, you've
Yeah.
been shopping here.
Yeah, I tell you what.
And now you're 57, so that makes me 102.
Well, we'll just say that it's been a hot second since the first time we came through these doors. When I first came through here, we had that sign that said, "Friends don't let friends buy first acts." That is one of the first signs that I can remember in this place. My mom walked in.
Man.
And I tell you what, I saw that sign, and my guitar was the first act.
I remember that sign, but I don't remember when that was. Was that 2007? I don't know.
I want to say it was somewhere around there. It was so good though, because walked in here and oh man, we had Matt, we had John, we had Josh, and I think I asked them about that, and they were like, "Yeah, no, we'll get you some good stuff." And sure enough, over the years, everybody's just helped me along.
It's been a good crew.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And I hear you're leaving us, which makes me a little sad.
It makes me sad too. Change is good. Change is needed, and honestly, a grandbaby's the reason.
Oh,
I mean, that's the reason.
Grandkids are the best.
Right, and they're locked in. Our kids and their children are locked in Kansas City, so it's calling.
Well, the Kansas City Chiefs need somebody that can help them out. So
Yeah, well,
I think you're the man.
I would like to do that. Some kind of fitness coach or something.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, is that whenever I've talked with you and stuff, you've always been a good teacher. And honestly, what even brought you here to Rolla? Because Rolla is like college town, but it's like middle of nowhere.
Right. So, what brought me to Rolla was music. I was a traveling musician in a band in the 80s. I'd say we were a hair metal band because, the hair was dyed blonde. It was stuck up in the air with Aquanet hairspray, and the eyeliner was thick so that you could see our eyes from the back of the room, of course. And the pants were tight. So we were traveling around Canada and the United States, and believe it or not, Rolla had a pretty big rock club called Mr. T's. And because the fort's right down the road on the interstate. And then the university at that time in the early 80s was probably 70, 75, 80% male. So you had a lot of testosterone in this area, and those guys don't stay at home and watch TV in the 80s. That means before the computer and the internet. So there was this called Mr. T's. It was a pretty large nightclub, and so we were just gigging, making a living. And I met somebody here in Rolla. The competition's stiff. You got these engineer cats that are going to make all this money, and you got these super buff, clean-cut military guys, and then you got the rock and roll guy that comes in, and I got the gal.
I was gonna say that's how it goes. The ladies love the guy that can serenade them.
I suppose. Maybe they just seen so much of the other two versions. Anyway, so started a relationship, and that relationship lasted for a long time, and then eventually, as I got older and was looking to stop that lifestyle I was living and be a little healthier and normal, own a house, things like that, made the decision to settle.
That's awesome. So Rolla got blessed because you decided to find you a girl that lived here.
She found me.
There you go. So living that musician lifestyle and then transitioning, did you go from musician to store owner right away, or did you come and work as a tech for a while?
I worked in the store as a tech for the guitar stuff and the audio stuff, because those are the things I knew the best. sound equipment,
Hmm.
and of course playing guitar and amplifiers. Yeah.
So with that, I was sitting there thinking about that. So much has changed. I'm looking at gear now through the window here. There's gear from the 80s, there's gear from the 90s, and modern day stuff I'm looking at. And nowadays, there's such a huge debate between digital and analog, which is better, and all this stuff. What have been your thoughts? Because you've literally watched the progression change.
True, and I still own a multi-track analog reel-to-reel recorder. Um, the power and the ease of recording has changed. Just what you can do with your cell phone. Keep in mind that the Beatles recorded Abbey Road, no, I'm sorry, Sgt. Pepper in '66 and '7
Hmm.
on a 4-track machine. That means they could do 1, 2, 3 tracks, like maybe Paul on the bass and Ringo on the drums and John on the rhythm guitar, 3 separate tracks, and then they could bounce those down to track 4. That would open up track 1, 2, and 3 again, and they bounce tracks multiple times. That's a lot of work. And then if you're looking at it and you go, I really like this song, but I want to change the arrangement from verse, chorus to verse, chorus, verse, chorus, chorus, verse. You had to cut it with a razor blade, splice it back together, the tape. And now you just click with your mouse. But so I'd say the biggest change is the power that you have with your laptop or even your cell phone to record multiple tracks and cut, copy, and paste and edit.
That's awesome. Even with the free software like Audacity now, stuff like that, it's crazy. Even just what the free software is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you came to Rolla, got in the guitar shop business. As a musician, as an audio engineer, what is your favorite piece of gear that you've had over time?
Oh, it's got to be one of my guitars, Tom Anderson.
Okay.
So I'm a Strat fan. I like the way the Stratocaster feels. If you know anything about guitars, the Stratocaster has been designed. Of course, Leo Fender didn't even play guitar. The guy who started the Fender company and started the Stratocaster. He did the Telecaster first. But the Stratocaster has a contour for your rib cage.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hold it against your body, it's more comfortable. And for your right arm to come down, it's contoured to come across where your right arm sits. So it's like you're squeezing the body of the guitar between your ribs and your forearm. And it's just designed just perfect in my mind. It feels comfortable.
I grew up huge into Les Pauls, and then I picked up a Strat, and I loved the Strat. And then I got into PRS, and oh my goodness, I felt like that was the gold mine, the best of both worlds for me. But the Strat and the gear question leads back into this. Again, watching different generations come in to the store, learn guitar, pick up guitar, different things like that. Is there a generational difference that you've noticed, or is it the same mindset with the generations coming in as musicians? Are we all looking for the same thing? Are we trying to find that holy grail of tone and everything else, no matter the age?
No matter the era, the age, yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah, the guitar player coming in to shop today is the same as the guitar player coming in to shop in 1989. The difference is the guitar player coming in today has multiple choices to choose from and is much more knowledgeable because you can just read about everything. You can go to Fender's website, Paul Reed Smith's website, Taylor's website, and you can read the specs. How what is the nut size with the width of the nut, what's the radius of the fretboard. You can really be a geek on this stuff now, which is, in the old days you couldn't because there was no websites. You had to come in, talk to me, and I had to ask you, how's that feel in your hand? Well, this is a C shape. Do you like a C shape, a D shape, whatever, neck? Now you can research it on your own.
So that's something else I've noticed too. Like back in the 70s and 80s, there's so many modified guitars that I see way back then. People throwing Kahlers and Les Pauls or Super Strats, stuff like that. And I don't know if I see that so much with the younger generation. I feel like we're shopping for more straight off of the shelf, but there's some magic to those old modified guitars,
You know why they were modified? Because they weren't available the way that people want them configured. So in the 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, Well, actually, since I'm an old guy, I saw the modification start in the 70s with people changing the pickups. I mean, look what Eddie Van Halen did. He had a Stratocaster guitar that had single coil pickups. He took humbuckers out of some other old Gibson or something. I mean, because they weren't available. He liked the way the Strat felt, but he liked the way the humbucker, which is a double coil pickup instead of single coil, he liked the way it sounded. And then you can hear Hendrix playing with his whammy bar in the 60s, and he comes back out of tune. Mm-hmm. So a guy named Floyd Rose invented the bridge that locks the strings in so that the strings don't have friction points where they go out of tune when you use that bar. All these things, because of the limited availability of guitars, the Les Paul, the Telecaster, the Stratocaster, they needed to be modified for the style of virtuosic playing that was coming along with Eddie Van Halen, John McLaughlin, Steve Vai. These guys were taking the guitar to a different level, and they needed it's just like automobiles. The first hot rods, right? Mm-hmm. They just had carburetors. There was no fuel injection, 50, 60, 70 years ago. Everything progresses, and the modifications sooner or later become standard equipment. Same with guitars.
So do you like what it looks like we're going now with our equipment, with guitars and stuff like that? Do you feel like there's changes that need to be made, or do you feel like there's some things we've lost as we've progressed?
That is a good question. I haven't thought about that much. I haven't seen much new in a long time, since the 70s and 80s, really. I mean, they're putting smart technology in guitars, but sometimes that can interfere with, you sit down to play guitar and you end up monkeying with the smart part about it, and you end up losing your inspiration for why you sat down with the guitar. So really, just if you're a guitar player, you didn't ask this question, but my advice is to have two guitars. Always have an acoustic guitar, one that you can just pick up and play in, at a park or in the back of your truck or whatever, because then it's just you and the guitar, and you're not worried about, is the treble too high on my amplifier, is the bass too low. Just play guitar.
Yeah, I've noticed that with a couple brands. Pretty soon, I feel like we're going to be able to play the mobile games on our guitar while we're waiting to tune everything up.
It's getting there.
So, you're a big part of the music scene around here as well. We have bands and stuff that play at like Tater Patch and local bars and stuff. So many people come here for what it is that they need. What have you noticed as time has gone on, as far as like the bands, the collectors, different people like that, they come in, and you have such a pulse on the area. It's insane. I really like to pick your brain about that. Just what's that been like for you?
First, let me say I'm going to miss that the most. I'm going to miss being influential with the area and helping everybody. And it's not just musicians, churches and schools. I mean, we've done audio for hundreds of churches.
Yeah, you guys rent out equipment for the schools, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's the band department, yeah. But I haven't seen it change over the years. It's still basically the same needs. So, but I'll miss that incredibly.
I can't even imagine, because all the friends and stuff you make over the connections, acquaintances and all that. Like, I know my story with you guys, but I'm thinking about that multiplied times thousands and thousands of people over the years, potentially over in the millions,
Mm-hmm. So I'll see a guy come in. He's in his 40s. I don't recognize him. And he says, "You don't recognize me, do you?" I said, "No." He says, "I went to school here 20-something years ago." He said, "You helped me buy a guitar." And they remembered me, but I don't remember them. Of course, we've all aged, but they're back because they're now taking their son to go to college here. And or their daughter, and it's just like, ooh, I guess I am getting old.
So I got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
How in the world did you get the superpower to be able to write any song in 10 seconds?
That comes from God. I mean, so I've been here for 33 and a half years. You can tell when someone's got that. So certain people have a musical gift. It's not to say that if you don't have it, you can't play, but some people just have it in them. You know what I mean? And it doesn't come from anywhere else. It's just a natural thing or supernatural, whatever. But
It's blown me away watching this. Like, I can give you any topic, and boom, you just write a song. It's incredible.
I got to tell you something funny. The other night, my wife was feeding the dog, and she was singing a song about feeding the dog. She was just making it up, and she had to say a line, and she had to rhyme the next line. And I looked at her and I said, "You've been married to me too long, because I don't do anything around the house unless I'm making a song up about it. You know,
Yes.
It doesn't matter if I'm mowing the lawn or tightening the faucet. I just start singing a song about it and come up with the rhyme, the line. So maybe it's an affliction.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Uh, with Merle's, what was your vision when you started it, and have you seen it come through?
So I worked here as an employee first for Larry Wolf, great guy who had a good business mind and a very hard worker. The only thing I didn't really want to change much, but I wanted to make the store a little more modern, which is what Eric's going to do, the guy that's replacing me. Great guy, perfect guy for the job. It takes someone with an understanding of their own generation to make it more modern. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to definitely compete with the internet. All the pricing the same. We Google about everything, that we sell, just to make sure. So you take price out of the way, and then people go, okay, it's the same price of Merle's music. Then it becomes, I can try it first. I can get advice. I can get it worked on. Plus, when I buy something there, yep. See, there's another happy customer ringing in.
Yep.
Plus, when they buy something here, this is important. It's a community thing.
Mm-hmm.
When they buy something here, and I'm not going to go too big on this, but the money they spend here gets taxed for good reasons. Streets, police, fire department. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the employees that work here get paid, and guess what they do? They go buy their shoes. They shop local. That dollar spent here travels around the community like you wouldn't believe. So.
Yeah, and it's so true. Again, talking with different people, they talk about how this place has been a blessing. It does help them provide for their family, as well as it's opened so many doors for so many people to meet and greet and just continue the future that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mr. Merle, thank you so much for your time.
My
today.
pleasure.
Absolute pleasure talking with you guys. If you enjoy this, leave a like. Mr. Merle, he is going to be moving away, going to be taking care of some people that need him. We're going to miss him over here.
I'll miss everybody and everything about it, really.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and you'll be in our prayers.
Thank you.
Always.